and we're just north of Magdala. We're going to walk a little north here. I'm drawn to see the agriculture, the harvest. Easter and Pentecost are harvest feasts originally. In their agricultural dimension. So will be a bit different walk today, okay? Hope it will be okay for you. We're on the road. This guy just parked his truck here. And this guy is going up here in the sky. Big bird. This is a parking area here north of the mall. I'm sure there'll be more things eventually coming around here. Good morning. Boker Tov. Sabah al-Khair. كيف حالكم؟ זה שידור חי.
שידור חי?
בכל העולם. אתה יכול להגיד שלום לכל העולם. סלאם עליכם.
על הבוקר.
על הבוקר.
תודה.
אוקיי.
על היום אלך.
שוכרן כתיר.
גם אלך שוכרן.
So these are two Arab Israelis. So friendly. Guys out starting a day's work. Here on Monday morning. Their truck, the small truck and the big truck. Here's a couple out walking. Life here is normal. It's the Holy Land, but it's humanity. Let me turn you back this way so you can see what you love. Sunrise stroll and chat. Oh, look at all these people out walking. Wow. Boker Tov. Ze shidur hai. Good morning, Boker Tov. Jogger. Good morning, Boker Tov. Boker Tov kulam. This poor guy. Boker Tov. Also friendly. We could go down there too, but another day. I've never brought you up here on the Sunrise Stroll and Chat, and one of the reasons is because it's, you know, you can't see the lake. All these trees block it, but you're familiar with the lake, so we can take today this little break from that routine. There's a small harvest field here, but let's look for another one up the road. This is a kind of what drew me up here this morning, because you like seeing that from Mount Arbel. Yesterday we were up there right behind that palm tree. You see there's a palm tree here. Just up there on that ledge. That's where we were yesterday. Maybe I'll find the exact spot for you. Maybe more behind this pylon here, this electric pylon with all the apparatus. Right up there, that's where we were yesterday. I'm looking for that tree and flower that could tell us exactly where we were. But another moment. Somebody else walking ahead of us here. I thought we were the only ones, the live stream crowd out in the morning, but there are lots of people out. That's nice. Taking advantage of this morning hour. I think everywhere around the world you see people doing this. I'm not doing live stream for the Sea of Galilee, but at least having a good walk in the morning. A good run. Little exercise. It's very quiet here. Imagine if the country was opened up for pilgrims. There'd be buses running up and down here now. And taxis. This is a new road. It's opened up for the Sea of Galilee Hotel and other eventual hotels that are foreseen that are going to develop along here. we'll be able to see the sun all right, but not so much the lake. I'm going to switch tracks here from the asphalt and head over here to this road. This is a little uneven, but it's softer terrain for walking, gentler on the joints. I sent a message this morning just before 6 to a German man who lives here, Hermann Schmidt, and his wife Erika. And I wanted to ask them a couple of questions about the agriculture here. See, somebody told me this is wheat, and I had my own doubt because in my experience, wheat doesn't have whiskers like the barley. And this seemed to me to have whiskers, but I'm not sure if all the crops are the same, so we can go in and examine it now. Now here's another pathway. I'm not sure. This is probably public as well. We can go down there towards the lake at some point. Just seeing all these new possibilities. So it looks like we can go in here to this field of wheat that we saw yesterday, if it is wheat. And this is the darnel. You see these ones here? The man saw a darnel in an evil man in the wonderful crop that was sown. So here are all the rows that have been cut. It's a different way of harvesting. In Ireland it would be harvested when it was completely ripe, because the chance of getting a number of dry days one after another is not probable, and so it dries faster when it's standing. But if you don't get rain, then it can be left here, and all the good of the stalk goes into the grain and enriches the grain all the more. So here it is, people. Here are your bread rolls and your sweet cakes and everything. Pentecost was the harvest of the wheat, and Easter was the harvest of the barley. So here we have, you see, these whiskers are telling me that this is barley. So I'm going to have to find out from Herman to be refreshed if this is really wheat, like some people were telling me, but I'm not sure how much agricultural experience they have. Let me see here. I'll set you up here on your tripod so you can be seeing some. Let's go into the field a little more so you can have both the harvest and the sunrise. How about that? It's really great to be here in these fields again. This was my childhood and teen years on the farm every day, helping my dad. And here we have the mango orchards. So now you have the harvest and you have the sunrise. And I have hands off because I set up the tripod, so now we can check out the grain. The grains are actually incredibly small. I don't know if you can see that here. There's very little in them. Yeah, it does look like wheat. I didn't realize wheat had whiskers. I'm going to try this one here, okay? This is a small little grain. I don't know if you can see it there. No, my hand wasn't high enough. Look at that little grain here. So small. It's very hard. I wonder if it's not a different cereal. Because the wheat we had at home was much richer. We didn't grow much wheat. When I was a child, we grew wheat from which we made our own bread. I was very small when I remember that happening. And then we stopped doing that because it was obviously not so economical and it was a big bother. It was easier to buy the flour from other farmers because our land wasn't really for the wheat. So now I have 5 little grains here that I'm trying to free up. I have 3 of them thrashed already. That means I've taken out the grain. Now I have 4, and the last one doesn't have a grain. So there we are. Look at this here. Oops. I don't know if you can see this here. There are 4 grains there. I'll taste them for you, okay? Yeah, they're very hard. The wheat was always better than the barley for that first bite, you know. But if this is wheat, it's a terribly small grain. And the whiskers throw me off as well. The haze is making that effect on the sun, so it's like a screen, and the sun is coming through it. So let's walk along here. Now that's an interesting little view. Here's Mount Arbel, and the mountain across on the other side is Nitai. I think it was even a guy that's called Nitai. I must check my file here. And he told me he was called after this mountain. So we were up there last night. So many of you, I think, saw the live stream from yesterday evening. I was impressed at how many people got a glimpse of it. And we were walking, we went down behind Wadi Hammam. You see, if you look back there, you can't really see from this distance, but there's a valley. Wadi Hammam is between Mount Arbel and Mount Nitai. And it goes down there to the left, to the southwest. But there's another valley going out this way between that hill here separating Migdal from Wadi Hammam. And we went down that road and we found the most incredible dirt roads to walk. And amazing forests of mango, absolutely amazing. These are really thin and miserable compared to the forests of mango we saw. And the lines, the extent, how you can see the Sea of Galilee through the trees here. So we just keep your eye on the Sea of Galilee. It's out there. You can't really tell the difference between the air and the sea, but I see the sea. My eyes. It's the lower part there under the trees. That's a nice shot. Right behind this big tree. You have to read the poem by Joyce Kilmer. Only God Can Make a Tree. It's absolutely amazing. I love that poem. I think he was killed in World War I. He was from New Jersey. Young man, poet. It's a pity of all the wars. Somebody's going to have to remind me the name of this tree again. So the link you have today for the scriptures will have a little variation because actually the reading we'll have at Mass, since the gospel reading that we have today is the one we had yesterday, and that is because it's the normal one for years A and C, but we're in year B, so well, that's a nice picture. You have the Sea of Galilee under the trees over in the distance. And we have this beautiful sunrise at this big tree here, and you have the fields of grain harvesting, drying before they're thrashed, collected and thrashed. When harvest would happen in Ireland in late September, and then there was a chill in the evenings, and then the wild geese and the wild duck would be flying over the harvest fields, and where there was water they'd be around that. In the evening time we had little, they wouldn't be called lakes, but big ponds of water. The Irish name was Riask, and the farmers would go out with their shotgun to see if they got some geese and some duck. You can see the growth here, the green growth coming again after the harvest. Look at that, the aftergrowth. So back to the readings then. So the chapter 10 of John's Gospel is very much about the Good Shepherd. And yesterday we started at verse 11 to about 18, I think. And since we had that passage which is assigned for today and the other years, then we'll read the first 10 verses today of John's Gospel, which is very much in the line of the prophets, all of the prophets. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Zechariah, who are really critical. Oh, there's a nice view for you. Give you a moment to take your screenshot there. And they're so critical of the shepherds. And the shepherds, obviously the big shepherds are the king and the high priest, right? And they're accused of just serving themselves. And not serving the flock. Having their own interests at heart and not the interests of the people they're called and anointed to serve. And this is always a big challenge for humanity, for all leadership, to be servants, servant leadership, washing the feet of the disciples. That just is such a powerful image that has revolutionized the imagination about leadership, which was often held by the sword and the armies and the fortresses and the battle lines and violence at every level, the small level. See some of the grain that's left on the side? I'm almost certain this won't be picked up by the machine. Look. You have these, you can see the ears there with the grain in them. And there's Tiberias in the background, just anchoring your geography. So let's cross over to another field here. Sometimes there's dikes in these areas here, you don't know where to cross when you're not familiar with the terrain. This is a formal entry to the place here. Obviously somebody lived here or had a little shack here. So there doesn't seem to be a pathway. Let me see here. We'll find another way. So this, you see, is not real harvest. These are weeds, and they look like they're grain, but they have hardly anything in them. and they're a pest. See the ground drying up. We won't have rain now until November. Maybe what we'll do is we'll head over towards the Sea of Galilee this way. I'm not sure, so you can get a little bit more real view. And we'll walk through the wheat fields, if they are wheat. Here's a little bit of Migdal for our Migdal viewers who live far away but come to Migdal a lot. So what do we do when we see corrupt clerical leadership, corrupt political leadership for the civil society? Sometimes we feel very impotent that we can't do very much at all. But actually, prayer is a very powerful lever. And it can give great expression in an effective way to our desires for justice and fairness, for the purity of heart of leaders. Yesterday, Pope Francis gave an amazing encouragement to the new priests he ordained at St. Peter's. Oh, here we have a morning glory coming, I think, but maybe not. I think it is a morning glory, is it? It's just not open yet, completely. Right here in the middle of the field. They say nature abhors a vacuum. The reading from the Acts of the Apostles is also very powerful, where Peter, he's the leader, the one carrying the voice, and he has a special revelation from God that's going to have huge impact for all the Gentiles joining the body of Christ as his disciples, being baptized. And there was a big crisis over this in the community in Jerusalem, and they were very disturbed that these new adherents, members of the body of Christ, would not keep kosher. So I encourage you to read that and to see how that panned out. How important it is to pray for leadership to discern what's the right thing to do in times of social crisis, economic crisis, political crisis, to diffuse the time bombs that can explode if things aren't resolved properly in justice and in good time. Today my mom would be 95 years of age, thinking of harvest, thinking of family. There were always neighbours along. The farmers helped each other in the harvest, especially for the threshing of the grain when it was all gathered into the haggard. That's a word you might know, Haggard, into the haggard. Then the threshing machine went around from farm to farm, and there was a lot of work and a lot of manual labour needed, and then there was always a big festive, lots of food because the farmers were working very hard. They needed to be well nourished, and there was a whole culture of looking after them. Here we're at a quiet roundabout on this new road. Guten Morgen.
Good morning. You need something?
A question. But you don't look like a farmer. Are you a farmer? No. אתה מכיר מה זה פה? Okay, what crop is this?
What crop?
Yeah.
Who's the property?
No, the crop. What type of grain is it?
I don't know how to say it in English, but
In,
it's hita.
it's wheat, hita, but it's very small.
They give it to the cow, all that.
To the what?
Cow,
Ah, for the cows, so it's not the wheat for bread.
no bread.
Yeah, now I understand. Okay.
Where are you from?
And in Ireland.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The Jewish?
No, I'm a Catholic priest.
Nice.
We're on Shidur High here
Nice.
with the whole world.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you so much. What do you do? What's your work?
I'm a boat mechanic.
A boat mechanic. We need lots of those at the Sea of Galilee.
Okay.
Lehitrot.
Bye.
Yom Tov. Toda. So that's a reasonable thing, a boat mechanic with all the boats. Know that these are smaller birds. The bigger ones were like pigeons, doves, and the other ones, I don't know what these small ones were. Maybe they were our usual battalion that we had from before. Let me check the watch because I've lost all track of time. Look at this little bit of art here. So I think our time is up, huh? So this is a bird preening its wings. It's wonderful how sculptors see a piece of stone and they already see the result inside and they chip away all that's left over. That's the way Michelangelo said when he created Moses. And they asked him how he did it, and he said, well, when he saw the stone, he saw Moses and he just chipped away what wasn't needed. What talent. The gift each one has. And you have your gift today. You have your gift today, a new day. And may it be blessed, a blessed day, and your gift well used. Somebody needs you today. Somebody give a word of encouragement to somebody. God bless you. It's great to have you here. Get your power there. You see the power lines and the sun behind them. Let's get power from on high today.